Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public press on January 6, 2023, and was posted at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Marcy, you're muted, I think. Right?
No, I'm not muted.
Oh, okay, somebody's muted. Okay. All right, please join me as we salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you, I will actually,
I'd like
I
to
was
see if
thinking about it, but
we can have a moment of silence for the massacre this weekend and continued hostilities over in Mideast.
I think it's Joe. Okay. Have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Distazzi?
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Here.
Councilmember Sparta?
Present.
Councilmember Tadrick?
Here.
Council President Bushieri?
Here. Okay, we have a few discussion items. One of the first discussion items we have is our animal control ordinance. We have our chief here, Chief Young, and Sergeant Kamar, sorry, I just want to make sure I said the right thing. Our animal control officers. So we have, I just want to clarify, we also have later on in the agenda a reading of another ordinance regarding fees, and that is separate from what we're talking about now, right? Then we have the cat.
Did we actually put that on?
I thought you didn't want it on?
No, you can have it on. That was a discussion piece.
Oh, okay, well,
Want to put it on? That's by all
I
means.
thought that was like a more urgent,
No, that was for us to discuss. And if you felt like that's something you agreed with and wanted.
we'll discuss
on
it
there.
now, and then if we don't want.
I guess that's the show of trust.
I didn't.
I was in the impression that was a more urgent issue, but that's, yeah, we can discuss it, and then if it's,
Absolutely.
we'll do the
Sure.
first reading.
Yep.
So the chief and I had a couple conversations along with the mayor regarding our current animal control ordinance. Some, questions have come up, some conversation about fees, about licensing, about the cost to run the shelter and the medical care the animals receive. So I thought it would just be a good idea, and the chief and sergeant agreed that we just have this conversation, talk about what the current ordinance is, and then find some ways to improve it as far as costs, because costs are increasing. So, that's an issue. And then also, I think, perhaps some quality of life issues regarding animals at large, adoption fees and things like that. So I asked them to come, and they graciously accepted. So if you have some points you want, I know we've talked about some things. I don't know if you have some points you want to just kind of highlight, as far as the costs, where the fees that you're collecting are not really meeting the expenses, animals that we're bringing in.
So why don't I kick it off? So in our conversations, we see that there's a couple of gaps in our animal control ordinance that could help bring us a little more in line with the expenses that we have over there. Also, we have had incidents where we're dealing with quality of life issue that pertains to one particular part of the ordinance. I don't know, and I think part of the discussion in relation to that, I don't know how you isolate just down for that particular part, how many dogs somebody can have. I don't know, do we really want to regulate that? I don't think so. Then that's kind of my feel on it, but because, somebody in a lake community, well, they are really close to each other. Maybe they should be more limited on how many dogs they could have. And then if somebody who has a farm and has plenty of property, they should be able to have plenty of dogs. I struggle with that part of it.
Could that be something that a lake community chooses to have in their homeowners association bylaws? You know what I mean? So that they could regulate that themselves because they are a private community, whereas the town doesn't have to
Correct.
get involved in that.
Yeah, I didn't, when we discussed this, the sergeant and I, we didn't want to set out to enact an ordinance where somebody's going to inherently all of a sudden be in violation of it. That's not fair to somebody that lives here. And two, if you have ample property and you want to have a certain amount of dogs, as long as you're following all the other rules, why don't you, right? I think you should be able to, so.
Question,
Yes, sir.
we're looking at a decision that's kind of subjective, on how many dogs you can have. At what point does a certain number of dogs infringe upon neighboring homes to have a degree of, not privacy, but degree of a modicum of comfort in terms of, sound, continual barking, smell, not clean waste. And the fact that, when does home become, whether it be a kennel or a rescue situation, when does that apply? And when you're talking about numbers, I mean, what's the difference between a horse and a dog? Size and, and what you're looking at.
Those are excellent points, and that's kind of where we've reached the same conclusion of, is there a specific number that you attach to it? We don't necessarily think that's appropriate.
You tier the licensing. Like if you have to license your dogs, right? You have to receive licenses. So your first 5 dogs, the license fee is this. And then if you have above 5 dogs, it's a higher fee.
Problem you'll run into that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
They
okay.
won't license.
Problem with that could be people would just likely not license the dogs at all then.
And then you find them.
Do we have a
I
kennel?
had,
You're
We
able,
have a kennel.
they have the dogs.
I remember someone knocking on my door because I forgot to renew my license. And he
Did a
did.
census this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was before, I think the police department took it over. It was Tom, I guess, or,
I have a
But-
question. At what point does a person who has, let's use a number, 10 dogs and they're breeding them, although they call them their pets, but they are selling the puppies, is that a kennel? Is that a breeding? Is that my neighbor who has 10 dogs?
So, the laws with the health department regarding kennels, there's a bit of a loophole in what it means to have a kennel. And that's why a lot of towns do, adopt ordinances that regulate the number of animals you can have, whether it's cats or dogs. But the issue with the kennel, most towns, from what I read, if there's a certain amount, let's say the dog breeds, you have 2 litters a year, and the dogs are sold within 6 months of the birth of the litter, then anybody can breed dogs.
yeah.
So depending on how much they breed, but problem is and a lot of with the stuff, animal control stuff is, how do you know? How do you know how many cats somebody has, without violating their rights and going in their house? How do you
I don't wanna
know
do that, like,
how many dogs somebody has if they're on a desolate property that you can't see from the road? And maybe they have a giant farm and you don't know how many dogs they have. The police don't have the right to just meander around people's property to count animals, unfortunately, and I wouldn't.
but we don't want to do that. No,
Right.
if anybody's watching this, we don't want to do that at all.
Uninterested.
When
I'm interested. I don't want to infringe.
that's the difficult thing.
Yeah,
One of the difficult aspects of animal control is, yes, of course, we want everybody to license their dogs. And we do census to try and,
Mhm.
get people to license their dogs. But to know exactly if how many dogs somebody has, you knock on somebody's door and you hear a dog bark, maybe they have 1 dog, maybe they have 3 dogs.
yeah, you don't
You
know.
just don't know.
Well, and it's that balance of safety and, personal responsibility and rights. So we want people to license their dogs so we know that they've gotten a rabies shot. That's really the most important thing, because God forbid there's a dog bite. We want to make sure people are safe and they're not going to get rabies. And we also want dogs to be treated humanely. Because if there's instances where there's a lot of animals and they're not being properly cared for, it's, our responsibility as animal control and elected officials and as human beings to make sure animals are not placed in harm and neglect. So that, concerns me too. So that's really the balance there. That's why I just thought about the tiered, I don't have a stomach for telling people how many pets they can have or not have. But I thought, we could tier it, or are you able to, in an ordinance, just outright ban any type of kennel? Can you say, Vernon Township does not allow kennels of any type?
But yeah, we have
Or-
a town, yeah, you have kennels in town already. Kennels not, do we have a
Yeah,
kennel ordinance?
yeah.
Those are board, those are for
No, there's kennel right up the road here. Applewood's.
Applewood, that's not a
That's a
boarding?
kennel. That's a kennel as well.
Oh, okay.
How you
Breeds
define a
dog.
kennel?
Breeds dog, yeah,
Well, she
exactly.
breeds-
Well, what about a
breeds Doberman,
rescue? Yeah,
so-
what about a well, yeah, you're right, it's just,
So.
Very difficult.
Something else important to remember is there's other tiers and avenues that we could pursue
okay.
for quality of life issues. County Health Department is able to help us with things. We're able to look at other entities that we're just not the sole ones dealing with it. We can look to other people that have
Yeah.
maybe different authority that they can go in and do specific things, county, state.
Yeah,
It's just nice having those extra partners that we made relationships with.
well, and you might not even know that you have those until you need them, right? Until you are faced with a situation where you're like, this is not in the normal handbook of how we handle things. The other thought I had, I know there's fines if you have I guess, what do you call it, a dog at large? So could that be tiered? Like, I'm Natalie Bucieri, and this year my dog got loose, right? And he did, actually. I had to come back in there. So he came. But if he doesn't, and you guys pick him up, I have to go down to animal control and I have to pay $50.
It's tiered.
$50.
It's tiered now.
It's tiered now? Oh, okay. So what are the
First
tiers?
offense is $50, second offense is 75, third offense is 100. And then the fourth offense would be, the judge decides how much to fine.
Court appearance
Court appearance
Court
required.
appearance, okay.
That's fair.
Is that
Okay.
part of the leash law? Do we have like a leash law
Yeah, we do have a leash.
The leash law, but this is just a dog,
that was picked
Yeah.
up by the animal control?
right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we need to make the second and third and fourth a little higher. I mean, I think the first is, I don't wanna gouge people, because people's dogs, like I said, my dog has gotten loose. Everyone's dog has gotten loose. Sometimes it happens, but maybe making that
There's a big difference between a dog who slips out and a dog who's repetitively
continually, yeah.
Right.
One is either the dog is better training or the parent or the owner does.
I think maybe an idea, if you could look at the fourth offense is court appearance required with a higher fine. If you're at
Fine.
offense,
That sounds good, yeah.
you're not, people have their dogs get out a couple times.
Yeah, it happens. It definitely happens.
If you're hitting those higher level of offense times and it's causing quality of life issues for the neighborhood, there should be a little.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with that fourth offense being at a higher dollar amount,
And court required.
and court required.
Yeah, because it doesn't not have a dollar amount.
Right, you
now.
have to add
It just,
something,
it just adds.
Maybe a range, a dollar amount range, like a lot of
The
offenses.
judge would have some leeway then. So, you say, 250 to 500.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and then the judge would see that this is not a first or second or even third offense from that same person.
I think we need to be careful on something like that. This is Vernon. You're looking at acre and a half, granted, some of the towns, some of the house residences are close by. Which is why I brought up the issue of sound and smell, because those are non-controllable. But I've have to be 6 or 7 dogs. And they had to go out, I open the door, go, come back, and they come in.
Mhm.
I'd be darned if I'm going to have to go out of my own property and put a leash on them and walk them around.
Well, I don't
No,
think.
you don't, on your own property, you don't have to.
You have to.
Well, yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people come by and say, you should have your dog on a leash. Well, it's my property.
Mhm.
That's not what the law says. And I don't want to get into that. I think, honestly, this has been a township that was very rural and is being pushed to being changed to suburban. But, at some point, I think we have to be considerate of the fact that there are a lot of animals that can be, placed on a home, i.e. chickens. And what's going on there. So I would just be very cautious about making major moves on licensure. I understand what you're trying to do, and council president is trying to do, but I just kind of think that before we walk down that road too fast, we really ought to think about it.
So you're not comfortable with raising the fine on the fourth a fence of a dog. Not, I mean, my dogs go in my yard all the time too, and they come back. Like, I don't have a fence. I have an acre and a half.
Sometimes they-
But I've never had to pick up a dog in 4 years of owning a dog in Vernon, 4 different dogs in Vernon. I've never had my dog picked up by animal control. 20 plus years of living here, 25, I don't even know, my numbers are getting messed up. But so my point is, I think it's not usual for someone to have that happen 4 times. I think that's probably an exception. I mean, are you picking up dogs, the same dogs all the time? Except for one family, except for one, thing we're all thinking about, but I mean,
I wouldn't say that.
average family, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Happen.
Yeah, it happens once and they're mortified and they feel bad and they're worried about their dog. Most people are very concerned and upset. They don't want their dog to get hurt. I think that's probably average.
I think really the goal of the discussion is to everybody kind of come up with a plan that we could have, some sort of tool in our toolbox for some of these situations, because you encounter a situation like, one that we had and it was limited things that we could.
Yeah,
So we're just looking at the ordinance in general, across the board and try to think of outside the box. Okay, do we have some tools that we can help us with?
Chief,
That's
does the
violence.
current ordinance cover the ability for you to have control of the recent position? Was everything within here that you needed to be able to shut that down? Or did you have to take extra steps? Is there something?
So I understand what you're saying. So I want to be cautious because there's active cases that are,
Right.
going on. So I think my answer is, we're fortunate to have relations with other entities that can come to our support
Okay.
in our time of need and use their resources that they have. But there's some things that, for more an immediate response in situations, there's only so much we can do. Basically.
Yep.
I don't know if I put that
yeah.
enough.
And I don't think any of us is comfortable limiting how many dog animals a person.
Yeah, and I'm really not either. No.
I think it's something though that, if the lake community is concerned about, that, there's all types of restrictions in lake communities that they have that flexibility if they choose to do that. Let's talk about the fees, because you did bring up some increases in your medical costs and recommendations, right?
Yep, yes, we did. You want to cover that?
Sure. So what I find is, I generally manage the finances, oversee, what's spent at the shelter. We get a lot of kittens, especially around between May and July. That's when the cat colonies, all around start pumping out kittens. And the kittens are adoptable to a certain point when they're not feral cats yet.
Yeah.
So obviously the kittens are trapped as well as the parents of the kittens. And they're all spayed and neutered. And we have a TNR program that it's been very successful. And the parents of the kittens, we sent back to the colonies who were cared for.
Have been released, right? Like.
The colonies have caregivers that feed them and care for them and stuff.
Mhm.
But the kittens generally are adopted. Because we're trying to lessen the colonies, the goal.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, kittens are the biggest cost. And the ordinance right now, the kitten adoption costs $50.
Okay.
You guys, I'm sure you've looked through some of the invoices and stuff.
Mhm.
Without any other medical issues like that cats may have, it's generally costing me $85 to get a cat ready for adoption.
Okay.
I just started microchipping. I found a low cost means to do that through Fi. It's only $3 a microchip.
Oh, that's okay.
So I'm trying to really push that along. It's relatively still in the infancy of getting it, straightened out, but it's been working well. Right now, I've just been doing dogs, but I'd like to start doing the cats as well. So and it's incidental, $3 to get for the chip.
Yeah.
Very low cost. But we have a way to keep track of animals if they get loose and stuff like that. And I think that's the benefit of spending the $3 is outweighed by having that information if we need it. So my thought was, to cover, I think it would be wise for the township to cover the minimal cost of what we're paying for, a kitten adoption.
Oh,
Which is $88.
someone here with a
Right.
dog.
$88.
There's literally someone
Yep,
who
yep.
just left.
Just walked up with a
Stray
dog.
There's somebody who just picked up a stray dog, is looking for the
Walked out with
police
a dog.
department.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Should go out and ask them how many dogs you have.
That's kind of funny. That's never happened before, and we're talking about this and.
So I was with the computers with me. When they're not working, I show up and then they start to work.
That's true.
So my thought was to increase the adoption fee to cover what we're paying
Makes sense.
Yeah,
medical stuff for kittens, especially. Now, cats from 1 year to 6 years, that's a really broad range. Some of them come in they're already spayed or neutered.
yeah.
Some are not, most are not. So I thought of increasing that fee as well
Okay.
and keeping the senior cats at $30. And mainly that generally speaking, they're usually spayed or neutered.
Mhm.
But to be honest, senior cats are a little more difficult to get adopted.
I'm sure,
So
yeah.
I'd rather keep that as appealing as possible so that they can find a home,
Mhm.
And we get senior cats from all different means, whether they're found. We've had a whole bunch of cats come in this year. I had a gentleman pass away in Ogdensburg who had no next of kin. I had to get 18 cats from his house. And
Oh,
12 of them were senior cats, and we've gotten homes for most of them.
oh.
But sometimes.
They have a number ordinance in Ogdensburg. Did they have a number?
I guess they didn't have a
ordinance
limit on how many cats you could have.
in Ogdensburg?
So that was my thinking as far as the fees go, with the cats.
So to cover, basically, it's
Covering-
profitable, it's just covering the costs.
Exactly.
And I think, and you don't have a problem adopting kittens, like you're,
No.
okay, so that's,
We're very fortunate, the people that work there have created such a good relationship with so many other resources and other entities that they have so many avenues of getting animals adopted. It's just, we hired a part-time ACO from Wantage recently,
Mhm.
and they could never adopt anything there. Cats would just be there, dogs forever.
Mhm.
And they didn't have that. This community is very in tune to the shelter.
that's,
People just drop off donations.
yeah, Mhm.
Tractor Supply gift cards and stuff like that, which is really nice,
yeah, yeah.
I don't think they have that there,
Yeah.
We have a really good relationship with the community. Our community and the community of all the animal, people that are involved in all these rescues and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that was my thinking for changing the fees for the cats
Okay.
adoptions.
How many cats do you adopt out a year?
I think we had that in there.
I think it was in here somewhere.
In the packet? Okay,
Hang on,
Or it was in the email that we got, or
it's in the email, yeah.
remember
It was
seeing
a
it.
lot, okay.
got a lot of papers. I could maybe tell you in a second.
You had it for like the last 3 years or something.
Yeah, you did.
63 this year.
Cat adoption, 63, yeah, you're right, I think that sounds right.
But it's quite a bit.
Yeah, that is a lot.
We get a decent amount of, at one point I had 7 dogs here. And I had
Wow.
9 runs. And
Yeah.
all but one poor guy is still there. So if anybody needs a nice older pit bull,
Oh, what's his name?
Donnie.
Donnie is up for adoption? Oh, poor Donnie.
So,
That's not the one that Scott took, right?
no, that was a different one.
It was different.
Yeah, that was a white and black female pit. A little younger. Donnie's actually in it.
Oh, poor Donnie. So I think most of us are comfortable with increasing,
Oh, yeah.
that, right?
Cover the cost.
Increasing the cat adoption cost. Yes. Yeah,
There was one other topic I just wanted to bring up during the discussion, which is, you're gonna see it on the next council meeting. It'll be a shared service agreement with the county of Sussex.
Okay.
That is for us to have the ability to, in an emergency for another town, would be to euthanize like a bat for rabies purposes.
okay,
What we found, there's a couple of towns that don't have the ability to do that.
okay,
And, we put people first. So, we're in a position where we had a couple times where we had to, use our materials and supplies to euthanize a bat to get it down to make sure it wasn't rabid for
yeah, oh, yeah,
the person was involved with. So we started feeling, I'm like, we can't we can't be funding something for other towns, but we also have this obligation to people. So
Yeah.
the County of Sussex reached out to the Health Department and they put together a package for reimbursement for shared service for those. If we don't have a shared service agreement with a particular town and they have a rabies situation, you know, and we have to take care of business.
County will reimburse us.
It will reimburse us. So we thought that was really a home run for that.
Absolutely.
They
Of
put
that problem.
they put the schedule in there for the type of animal too.
Mhm. Okay.
You'll see that in the next, if you have any questions at all, please. I just figured I would bring that up now so you understood.
Yeah, no. I
From.
think that's a great, it's a great way to expand it. And like you said, to keep people safe, like you don't want a bat. Yeah.
That was our number one thing was to everybody, not just Vernon residents. If something happened, we got to make sure people are safe and taken care of, but we also can't be spending money on other towns because we
No.
don't have the proper resources in place.
Exactly.
So we needed to close that loophole
Yeah.
and make sure we had a way to get reimbursed and we found a way. So.
Yep. So my point of having this as a discussion item, I hope we would come up with some ideas to maybe, tweak this. So maybe we would have a first reading or a draft of some type of ordinance based on our conversation. I think the only thing we really all agreed on was increasing the cat adoption, the kitten adoption fee.
We talked, I'm sorry, we also talked about putting a monetary amount potentially on the higher number of dogs at large.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
A
and that, I think that makes sense. Increasing, and making, the court appearance.
We could actually make it the same, start at the same bottom range as a third offense. And just make it a higher offense, so
Good point.
up to the judge. I mean, if he wants to instill the same amount as it would be for a third offense, this way it's,
Yeah,
has a little more wiggle room. I mean, we could look at something like that.
so having the third offense be required,
The third offense is already 100. So a fourth offense would be, a range would start at 100.
100, and then go up, and give the judge that leeway
Mhm.
and keeping it at 100.
So that could be more reasonable, maybe.
Are your costs
Yeah.
covered for dogs as well? Because they weren't for cats.
Yeah, generally the cost for the dogs is pretty well.
Much covered, okay.
I mean,
Because if it's not.
What is our
I mean, you might as well
adoption
do it
fee
same
for
time.
dogs?
the adoption fee for the dogs is puppies under 1 year is 130. 1 to 6 years is 110, and senior dogs are 50.
Okay.
Like same with the cats, most senior dogs are generally fixed.
Mhm.
Most dogs that we get are definitely between 1 year and 6 years. Very rarely, we got a dog a couple months ago that was under 1 year. But it doesn't happen too often. And the spay and neuter for the dogs, it's in the price list here.
Animal shit, yep,
We typically we bring all the dogs to Vernon Vet for spay and neuter. The cats go to the Terrace, the low-cost spay and neutering clinic. If you look for the dog here, it's $80 to spay it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For a female, so it's not that,
Right, so and the male dog is 40, so. Other than any incidental things that happen with that, I think that the dog is pretty much well covered.
okay.
I'm not trying to make money, but
No, well, but I
Yeah,
don't,
keep it sure you're covered.
I don't want our township to lose funds either. We're taking in dogs from other, we have shared service agreements. We're taking in animals from other towns. So it should at least be at the break even point.
and that's gonna be coming up soon also. I've been reaching out to the towns just so you guys are aware.
Mhm.
A lot of our agreements are gonna expire on December 31st.
Okay,
I'm starting the process on, we're gonna start, talking about renewing that stuff.
okay.
We went
Negotiating.
pretty much for 1 year on a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. We did that because we wanted to make sure that our staffing was adequate, that we could cover
Okay.
everything properly, that we weren't finding ourselves to be having specific issues.
Yeah.
And we found it's a good investment of our resources.
And then seeing like what the cost is
We-
versus what the fee, we're getting a set fee. Then what the cost if we put for a particular town, like, is it
Look at,
balancing out?
I'm still trying to figure out the algorithm that was used, the original algorithm.
Okay.
when they came up with the numbers, but there's a couple of tweaks that I'd like to make to the agreement as far as vet care and stuff and things like that. And then it'll be the same, basically, they're gonna be carbon copied for it's gonna be the same agreement for every town.
Yeah.
No,
The only thing that I think would change is the monetary amount, quarterly monetary amount. Because that really depends on the call volume, which I just got everything printed out this morning.
Okay.
And the size of the town, you
Mhm.
know, and kind of try to figure out what the right number is based on that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a trick to do the right thing, just try to do the right thing.
Yeah, and it's a balance there too, and it's not, it's not static, it changes every day. You could have no calls from Montague for a month, and then one week you could get called up there 4 times, I guess.
You get 18 cats in one day.
One day.
You never know.
You just never know, exactly. Yeah, how do you transport 18 cats at once? That's
Trips.
double trips. Oh, does anybody else have any other questions or?
That covers it.
Wasn't that long ago, our main concern was cows that large.
Cows?
Yes.
You know, I called the police department once about a cow at large by the,
We handle cows.
We handle cows.
I know, I called and said, there's a cow on the road.
You handle bobcats?
Trial by fire though, because
You-
usually it's the new guy,
And the new
I'm
guy, they take
saying-
care of the cow.
figure it out.
I'm seeing a lot of fox, and I saw a bobcat the other day,
Oh, yeah.
not down by the pump track,
No,
my property.
I've seen a bobcat,
At mine.
I know. So, I think that,
This year we had a den of fox.
yeah,
The mother and 4 little pups.
oh, cute.
It was cute.
I think that answers a lot of the questions. Anybody else, Pat, do you have any other questions or
No.
comments?
No.
You guys have anything else?
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll go forward with that ordinance because it has the increase in the fees for the kittens. And then, we can go back and work on the ordinance for the animal at large and change the 4th offense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sounds great.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah, thanks for all the
Thanks, guys.
research you did and taking.
thank you.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right, and the next discussion item is the mayor's salary. I brought this up, I think we brought it up a couple times. I wanted to bring it up again. I don't know if any council members are interested in revisiting the salary. I think you guys all got a copy of the current salaries. You know, we've talked about it a lot. The way our government is has been established, the mayor's job, I think a lot of us, even though it's not officially documented as a full-time position. I think the mayors that have had this elected position since the change of government have all handled it as a full-time position. We've talked about the increase in pay, so I just I feel like it's a pay that should be increased. I just wanted to get a little conversation and see if any other council members had feedback on that. There you go.
As far as I'm concerned, the last time we discussed it, and I don't recall, I would have to ask the clerk to bring it up, but on that regard.
We did table it, yeah.
So on that regard, consideration rather, the last time this issue came up, it was posed to the public as a plebiscite and it wasn't passed. So I don't know what has changed, as
Well,
far
we
as,
didn't have a resolution. It was just a discussion item. So it wasn't, the proper word probably isn't tabling. I think maybe, were you not at that meeting, Brad?
I don't think Joe was it.
Or maybe Joe was, there was one of us wasn't here.
I was at the meeting and I think the comment was that we should have a discussion as a full board.
As a full, yeah.
So really.
So I think that's
it's
what it was.
those Comments,
So-
since everybody else already discussed.
You got my comments? All right, I'll give you my comments. Honestly, I don't think it's right or reasonable for us, this council, to deal with this because there's 3 seats up here. The whole council is gonna change, the mayor's gonna change in a month, 6 weeks. So I don't think it's appropriate for us to do anything about it. Second, I agree with Pat. Last time this was brought up, it was put on the ballot. And there's a lot of people upset with money being spent, and we hear it every meeting. And I think, to be fair, if I was running again or gonna be on the council again, I wouldn't want to set my salary higher. I think if you're gonna do it, it goes on the ballot and let the people decide.
I agree totally.
And the other issue you have is, if you're going, again, this is a thing that's never been solved for 12 years.
Mhm.
Is it a full-time position? Is it a
Right.
part-time position? Hasn't been defined. I think that it's a process.
Mhm.
That's the first part of the process.
Oh.
That has to be defined, full-time or part-time. If it's
That's
full-
true. It hasn't been defined. You're
Hasn't been
right.
defined.
You're right.
Second thing, if you're gonna have a full-time mayor, then you need a BA.
You don't need to
Right.
be a.
You don't need a
you
BA.
don't.
So
Mm.
that's the second step, and then talk about salaries. I think until you define those two first steps, salaries are in my opinion, out of the question.
Is that something the council defines as if the mayor position is full-time or not? Is that in the council's to do, Marlon?
I think the council can, yeah.
I'm sure it can.
Yeah.
Council,
That's been brought up.
council sets policy.
Places part-time.
But does the council then create an ordinance or a resolution like, how do you establish?
I mean, it would have to be by ordinance.
It would have to by ordinance.
You have to change the duties of the mayor. However, I maintain, although I've spoken with Mr. Tadrick about this, that when the initial, when the change for the government was brought up initially, it was stated by the proposed mayor at that time, that if he were to win, he could run this at, he was so good, he could run it as part-time,
Mhm.
but he was a full-time mayor. There may be people who say he wasn't, but I'm not about to come down and see people, punching a clock. All right, and I know for a fact that there are people that are, involved in activities in other townships. They don't have to punch a clock. They just notify somebody and off they go. So, but for a point of interest is that the mayor has always received his, medical benefits. That's generally assumed to be a standard
Oh, as
for
far as about,
determining if full-time or part-time.
yeah.
So-
And the mayor's position is eligible for medical benefits. I don't,
But I still think you have to codify it.
I agree.
You have to codify it.
Yeah.
Because, and I see Mr. Rizzuto's
I
point.
think I
The
tried
fact
this in
is-
the summer.
The fact is, if it's a part-time position, or it's $30,000 seems to be a part-time pay, and you're getting all the benefit package, is it part-time?
Mhm.
It's a crummy salary, I won't deny that, for a full-time position, but you're getting a full benefit package, which is worth, I don't know, how much.
Oh, depending on what you pick for family
So-
package, yeah. it
So
could be-
I think first you have to codify full or part-time, and then decide full-time, no BA, part-time, BA, and you work the salaries.
Mhm.
It's rare that you find a part-time position that gives full benefits.
No,
And
yeah, you
that's-
don't.
That's a question right there in itself. Why full benefits if it's a part-time position?
So, and again, no council at this
Mhm.
point in 2011 has codified that.
Nope.
And there's been this constant
Yeah.
for 12
Mhm.
years, full-time, part-time, full-time, part-time. And I think it has to be codified.
I think it.
Well, maybe we can talk about it again.
On a ballot.
January, we'll see who's sitting here come January, and maybe the council president then will put it on the agenda. Because I think it should be done, and
Yeah,
we can start
I think it's been
you know,
for 12 years, and I
way
think it
too
has to be
long,
done.
yeah. I think it's important. Okay. Anybody else have a comment about it?
The only, I agree with Joe about putting it on the ballot. Man, what's the timeline for doing that though?
Fast.
Yeah.
It's passed, it's,
Fast.
No, not for this
Not
ballot,
this year.
not, I'm saying for next
For
year,
next year.
oh,
because I know there is,
Usually in August.
by August, you'd have to
In
know,
August is.
Okay.
At the same time that the candidates would cut, right?
yeah.
It's just after that.
Around that time.
Ballots have to be printed.
Just did that.
but if there's,
Step.
but if there's I can't recall if there's a primary next year for any offices, if there's a primary, it could go on a primary ballot, but not?
That's not that wouldn't be like a local election, so I
Well,
don't.
no, but if there's a primary for, I can't remember what. seats are up
Primary
this
for the
year is for-
president?
It would be a question.
I meant it wouldn't be, so
It
this
would
is
have to be on the general election.
in the
It
general,
has to be general election. Okay,
that's the local election.
okay.
We don't have a local primary.
Yeah.
Next year, we don't have a local primary?
We never do.
There are no
No, local, meaning town.
For us,
Yeah.
oh, for township, okay, we have county primaries,
Right.
I'm like, wait a second, right, yeah, gotcha,
I mean, we have a primary election, but we don't have any
Right.
local
local,
candidates on.
gotcha, okay. So we could only do it in November,
Mhm.
that gives the council plenty of time.
Yep.
Talk about it in January, February, March, April, May. The November meeting schedule, I just wanted to make everyone aware that because of the New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference, we will not, I'm just pulling up my calendar, sorry. We will not meet on
November 13th.
November 13th. And so we will only have one meeting in November because the 6th is before Election Day. And this room is set up with the voting machine, so we're not able to meet on the 6th. The 13th would have been a day and that's unavailable. And then the next week is the 20th, the week of Thanksgiving. So unless we want to do a different day of the week and have another meeting after the election, if someone, if people want to check their schedules and do like
So is the next meeting scheduled the 20th or 27th?
the 27th. The week of the 20th, I thought might be, it was always scheduled for the 27th. I thought the week of the 20th might be rough just because it's Thanksgiving weekend if people are traveling that week.
Yep.
In a way.
Unless you do, I can't do it the week, can't do it the 16th.
No, can't do this. Yeah, the 13th through the
I'm sorry,
16th is
I'm-
out.
Why would you want to move it any other day? And the
Well,
27th
to add another,
is the normally scheduled meeting.
yes, I was thinking to add like another one. So we had the typical two. If we wanted to fit another one in, it's really almost, the way the weeks are, it's very difficult. So is that okay? I just wanted to make sure no one has an objection. Okay, so we'll have that. We're just gonna have one meeting in
I'm
November.
fine with that.
Everyone's fine with that. Okay, so we'll just be meeting on the 27th in November then. Okay,
We're
and
reaffirming then the meeting in December for the 11th. And Christmas happens to be the 25th, so that'll move to Thursday, or are we gonna cancel that?
We do have one scheduled for Thursday, so that's
The 21st or?
30th. I'm
No,
sorry, I'm looking at the
28th.
wrong calendar.
28th.
Yeah, the 28th, there is one scheduled, so I mean, that's up to you, let's recall.
well, I think we can touch base. We'll have our meeting on the 11th, and if there's nothing pressing, we can always cancel that next coming meeting.
Okay.
I'll work.
Okay. I don't even want to think that we're almost at December.
I don't either.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, does anyone else have any comments about the November meeting? That's settled. All right, public comments. This public comment time is for current agenda items, limited to 3 minutes per person. If you'd like to speak, please come forward and let us know which agenda item you'll be addressing and state your name. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second?
Second,
Second by Mr. Rizzuto. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the floor is open. Is there anyone in person? Nope. Is there anyone virtually?
I don't have any hands up.
Okay. Seeing no members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to
Moved.
close? Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second?
Second.
second,
Second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. All right, review of the bills list. All council members received a copy of the bills list. Had a chance to review it. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I'm good.
Mr. Rizzuto, do you have any questions or? Kathy? Mr. Sparta?
No.
We're all good, okay. And you received minutes for regular meetings of September eleventh and September twenty-fifth. May I have a motion to approve the September eleventh and September twenty-fifth regular meeting minutes?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick, second by Ms. Discassi. May I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember DeStassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right, we only have 4 resolutions for the consent agenda. I'll read through them, and then if anyone wants to have one sent out, just let me know. Resolution 23-239, authorizing a date for a municipal tax sale. Resolution 23-240, authorizing the award of a required disclosure contract for container service at the township's public works and animal control facilities. Resolution 23-241, authorizing the mayor to continue the incentive to employees who enroll in an alternate health or prescription plan. Resolution 23-242, resolution authorizing the option for employees of the township of Vernon to waive health insurance benefits. Anybody wanna,
Yes.
okay, which one, Mr. Rizzuto?
23-239.
23-239, okay, that's gonna be removed. Anything else?
No.
So may I have a motion for all the resolutions on the consent agenda except for 23-239?
Motion.
Motion made by Ms. Discassi. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rizzuto. Any questions or comments regarding those 3 resolutions? No? Okay, may I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember DeStassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri. Carries.
Okay. And now, resolution 23-239, authorizing a date for municipal tax sale. May I have a motion for resolution 23-239?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Discassi. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Shudo?
Can the council be assured that every parcel, I guess we're talking about land assets. This is not land assets.
No, this is for tax sale for delinquent taxes.
No, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Hey, thank you. All right.
Good question. No.
Just wanted to be.
Important question.
That won't pop up for
Really?
many years to come.
We're just gonna always.
Yeah. Definitely a horn.
You want to sell that?
You wanna tell that? Yeah.
I could have assumed, but I don't like to assume, but I
No,
should
you
have assumed that our highly competent CFO would have visited each one of those pieces of property if nobody else had.
I
It's
did.
certainly in the company of our BA.
I did ask for that when we had the meeting. Okay, may I have a motion then to approve, roll call vote, we already have a motion, may I roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DeStassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Okay, introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 23-20, an ordinance amending the Vernon Township Administrative Code, Chapter 250, Article 2, fees and escrows enumerated in Section 250-15 relating to animal control. And this is just the increase in the kitten adoption fee. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 23-20? Motion by Ms. DeStassi, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. May I roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DeStassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, ordinance 23-21, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, adding Chapter 13 Cannabis Establishment Licensing and Regulation to the Township Code, establishing local annual cannabis licenses for all cannabis establishments to operate in the township pursuant to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Enforcement Assistance and Marketplace Modernization Act. May I have a motion to introduce 23-21?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. DeStassi. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DeStassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta.
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries. You.
Okay, ordinance 2322, an ordinance amending, revising, and supplementing chapter 330 entitled Land Development to clarify regulations relative to permitted locations for legal cannabis use within the township of Vernon. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2322? Motion made by Ms. DeStacy,
Second.
second by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DeStacy,
Yes.
Councilmember Zudo,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tavrik,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, public comment. Second public comment time is limited to 5 minutes regarding any topic. It does not need to be an agenda item. Any members from the public wishing to speak, please state your name and may I have a motion to open the floor, please.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the floor is open. Are there any members of the public virtually, Marcy?
I have Jesse Palladini.
Okay. Mrs. Palladini?
Good evening, council. I'm calling tonight to talk about the Sussex County Municipal Utilities Authority bill to the Township of Vernon. I recently Oprah'd this bill, and I also Oprah'd a letter from the SCMUA that was written by Mayor Burrell. I'm going to say it was written by Mayor Burrell because it was signed by Mayor Burrell, but there's no way Mayor Burrell wrote that letter because it's filled with legal terms and case law. And I'm wondering if the council knew anything about the mayor writing this letter to the SCMUA, to Mr. Varro. Did any of you know he was writing this letter to Mr. Varro? I'd like an answer.
I did not.
I did.
I saw it after the fact.
After the fact.
All right, the letter was dated May 5th, 2023. So I'm wondering how the mayor had that authority to send that letter to the SCMUA. But that's not my main concern tonight. My main concern tonight is that I see a legal bill in front of me for professional costs for $140,000, $577,032. So that's presumably the original invoice that the SCMUA sent to the Township of Vernon for its legal fees for a frivolous lawsuit that the township not only lost originally, but also lost on appeal. And the MUA went forward with this appeal, even though its attorney, Rich Wenner, advised them against it. But the part that concerns me is the insult on top of injury in which Vernon taxpayers are paying $2,108.66 every single month since May, which is the interest since May. When are you going to pay this bill and stop costing taxpayers any more money for this frivolous lawsuit that should have never been done? That's a question.
It's an operations matter.
I'm sorry, it's an operations matter?
Yeah.
Yep.
Meaning what, that the CFO just pays it, or what do you mean by that, Mr.
Ultimate, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mrs. Chair.
That's for the mayor to ultimately handle.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think expenditures are just up to the mayor to handle. I think the council has a responsibility in this too. My point is that it's now October, so we're going to see another $2,108.66. You know, you can't just keep saying everything is the mayor's responsibility and just lay it at his feet and take no responsibility yourselves as the council. So we're already going to have in another week or two an October interest payment. Why are we doing this to Vernon taxpayers? If we owe them this money, suck it up and pay it. Don't add insult to injury by adding another $2,100 in interest every month. Please, that's all I have to say about it because it's not up to me to do anything. But please don't do this to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other?
Perez McClackery.
Hello, Mr. McCrackery? Hello? Are you there? You gone?
He's here. I can't unmute him. There we go.
Okay, all right. You there?
Thought I just heard him.
Yeah. Hello?
There you go.
There you go. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Really, I don't have anything to say tonight, because I did hear a comment on the lowering the mayor's, over the salary. You folks keep concentrating on your. And
Mr. McClackery? Mr. McClackery, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you can adjust your computer or your headset or whatever you might be using as a microphone, but it's very hard to hear you.
Basically, most of the stuff I say is not heard.
I can't
I think
sorry, I
it's
can't
reverb.
understand. Yeah, I can't understand we can't understand what you're saying. I apologize. Maybe you can hang up and try back in and, and the clerk can let you back in and try to reconnect.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. If he's back, if he comes back, let him know.
Yeah, I don't have any other hands right now.
Okay. Do you want to we'll wait a second, see if he tries back? Or did you just get a bad connection? Did you see him like log off? Is he gone?
No, I still see his name, but
Well, you know what? We will, is it back?
Oh, there you go.
hand is back up. So
Okay,
let's-
all right, Mr. McClackery, we'll try one more time, okay? So hopefully we can hear you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Um,
And you got it?
No.
no, I'm sorry. You guys can't hear me.
No,
No,
It sounds like he's got his computer on or something and.
yeah, I don't know if there's some noise in the background, but yeah. I apologize.
Something with his.
All right, that's not gonna happen, Marcy. I'm sorry, Mr. McClackery. Okay, so I guess the mayor is not going to, use a comment, okay.
Motion to close.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I have a motion to close the floor to public. Oh, is there anybody else, Marcy?
No, there's no other.
I have a motion to close the floor for public comment. Moved by Mr. Tadrick, second by Mr. Staffy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the floor is closed and the mayor is back. Sorry.
Okay,
You came back, Justin?
yeah, I apologize, I had, some residents who were scheduled to come over on a normal Thursday, and I didn't really think
Yep,
this been the meeting,
Okay.
so
that's fine.
I just needed to meet with them a little bit.
That's fine.
Thank you guys very much. Madam Council President and to the other distinguished members of the council, following that February 3rd, 2023 hazardous material train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. At the February 27 council meeting, I reported to the council and the public that my staff and I had conducted a detailed inquiry with the objective of determining first, the potential for a similar hazardous material train derailment in Vernon Township, and two, if Vernon had a safety plan in place to deal with such a derailment, should such a derailment occur in our town. The results of that detailed inquiry revealed that Vernon Township does in fact have in place effective emergency services response plans for a variety of incident types, including railroad-related emergencies. The municipality's emergency services response plans consist of specific coordinated efforts involving the municipality's 4 fire departments, the 2 Vernon Township Emergency Medical Services Organization, the Vernon Township Police Department, the Vernon Township Office of Emergency Management, the Sussex County Hazmat Team, plus mutual aid agreements with emergency services organizations in surrounding towns and throughout Sussex County. In addition, through official sources, we have confirmed that the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railway Corporation, which is the organization which operates the trains that travels through Vernon, does not carry any crude oil, any toxic inhalation hazard, any poisonous inhalation hazard, or any other products or materials that could explode or cause widespread injury or harm, such as was the case in East Palestine, Ohio. Also participating, page 3. As a follow-up to our earlier due diligence on this important matter, on tonight, I am pleased to report to the council and the public that we in Vernon Township are not simply relying on a written emergency services response plan. We also plan a specific central role in the actual training efforts related to that plan. One of those training efforts will take place this Saturday in the parking lot at Veterans Memorial Park, next to the train tracks that cross County Route 644, which is better known by many residents as Vernon Crossing Road or the Flats. As part of this training effort, the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railway Corporation will station one of their rail cars on the tracks next to the parking lot at Veterans Memorial Park so that it can be used as part of their participating in this training exercise. Participating in this unique regional training session will be all 4 Vernon fire departments, the 2 Vernon Township Emergency Medical Services Organizations, the Vernon Township Police Department, and the Vernon Township Office of Emergency Management. Also participating will be the corresponding organizations from surrounding municipalities through which the New York, Susquehanna, and Western Railway Corporation trains travel. Other organizations participating include the Sussex County Hazmat Team, the Sussex County Fire Marshal's Office, the Sussex County Sheriff's Office, the Sussex County Office of Emergency Management, and the New Jersey State Police. I have been told by Vernon Fire Commissioner Dan Gross that McAfee Fire Department Chief Jeff Anderson has played a key role in the planning, organizing, and coordinating of this important training session. And therefore, on behalf of the residents of Vernon, I offer a special word of thanks and appreciation to Chief Anderson. I also again want the residents of Vernon to know that their mayor and their council are committed to making sure that Vernon is not only a good town in which to live and raise a family, but also a safe town in which to live and raise a family. And finally, I want to report that in our collective efforts to maximize Vernon's potential to find and cultivate sources through which we can reduce the tax burden on our municipalities' homeowners by obtaining state and federal aids and grants, the council and the mayor have worked long and hard to develop and strengthen positive relationships with our state and our federal representatives. The development and strengthening of these positive relationships have proven to be very beneficial to Vernon's taxpayers. For example, it was through a strong positive relationship with our state senator, the Honorable Steve Oroho, that Vernon was able to obtain a $100,000 grant from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for the purpose of hiring an environmental consultant to conduct samplings of the soil in the illegal Wallace landfill. And it was through a strong positive relationship with our U.S. Congressman Josh Gottheimer that Vernon was able to obtain $3.5 million for the specific purpose of making additional sewer system connections within our town's current sewer sewer service area. These strong and positive relationships have not only yielded valuable funds that we have been able to allocate to pay for needed municipal improvements without increasing the tax burden on our municipalities' homeowners. These strong and positive relationships have also enabled us to improve and enhance the state and federal constituent services that are available to Vernon Township. This is especially true as it relates to federal constituent services that's available to Vernon residents through our Congressman Josh Gottheimer. For example, in 2017, then Mayor Shortway used his strong and positive relationship to persuade Congressman Gottheimer to make a staff member available to Vernon residents each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Vernon Municipal Center for the purpose of helping our residents to overcome the sometimes frustrating bureaucratic rules and procedures that make it very difficult for some of our residents, and especially for some of our seniors and our veterans, to overcome problems related to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, passports, veterans' health, and other veterans' issues, as well as other federal matters. A host of Vernon residents have told me that this on-the-scene personal constituent service has been extremely helpful and beneficial to them. However, a meaningful number of Vernon residents have told me that they need help with federal-related matters, but due to their work schedules and our other personal matters, have not been able to take advantage of the federal constituent service that's offered by Congressman Gottheimer during the normal Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. time period. Therefore, on tonight, I am pleased to announce that I have again used this strong and positive relationship to collaborate with Congressman Gottheimer to enhance his federal level constituency service to Vernon residents by occasionally making a staff member available in the Vernon Municipal Center at an after 4 p.m. time period. The first of these after 4 p.m. constituent service meetings will be held on November the 27th at 6 p.m. in the Municipal Center. In addition to the personal outreach that I will make to those Vernon residents who have specifically asked me to arrange for them an after 4 p.m. constituent service meeting, the municipality will publicize this and future after 4 p.m. constituent service meeting dates on the municipality's website, the municipality's electronic message board, and other mediums that are available to us. The council and the mayor will continue in our joint efforts to find creative ways to service the needs of Vernon residents. Thank you, Madam President and council members. Those are my formal comments tonight.
Thank you. Mayor. Council comments. Actually, do you have any comments?
I would just like to thank the chief for addressing the cost factors of running the animal center and realizing that there needed to be an increase to cover to help balance the budget for next year. That's all. Thank you. And again, my prayers go out to all the people that have been affected by the Israel horrendous attack. That's it.
Sparta?
No comment.
Patrick?
Yeah, we're at a interesting point in the world right now. The only thing I can say is, if you see something, say something. Be careful out there and just be aware of your surroundings.
Thank you.
No comment.
Well, thank you all for a pretty quick, productive meeting. And I do echo that earlier, all those that have lost their lives and are in danger with the dangerous time, and we appreciate people in our military and first responders that work to keep us safe. And thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr.
Second.
Patrick, second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor?
Want to just comment that I agree with you wholeheartedly on your comments, Ms. Bucieri, regarding the actions of in Israel who are people of Israel who were attacked. Thank you for making those comments. And yes,
And motion to adjourn is made. We had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.